I never thought buying a lake house would mean discovering an empire built on stolen land. But that's exactly what happened when Evelyn Harper tried to evict me from property her HOA had been using for 40 years. She stood on my porch screaming about trespassing while her precious community center sat squarely on land my deed proved was mine. The irony hit harder than her threats. My name is Daniel Brooks. 55 years old, software engineer, recent inheritor of $580,000 from an aunt I'd barely known. I spent every penny on a 1920s craftsman lake house in Pine Ridge Shores, a subdivision on Lake St. Clair in Michigan where every driveway was perfectly edged and every smile came with a side of suspicion. The house was my reset button after 25 years of code reviews and deadlines. Exposed beams, stone fireplace, wraparound porch with a view that made my chest ache in the best way. The moving truck had barely left when Evelyn appeared. Coral polo, khakis pressed sharp enough to cut glass, clipboard clutched like a shield. "Daniel Brooks," she called, marching across what I thought was my lawn. "I'm Evelyn Harper, president of Pine Ridge Shores Homeowners Association. You're trespassing on community property." I set down the box of books. "Ma'am, I have the deed right here." I pulled it from my pocket, county stamp crisp. "Purchased legally last week." She didn't look. "This land was donated to our association in 1985. The house, the grounds, everything. You need to leave immediately." Behind her, the HOA complex gleamed. Brick community center, tennis courts, parking lot like a luxury resort. The contrast with my weathered craftsman was stark. "Donated by whom?" I asked. "The previous owners wanted to benefit the community," she said. "Richard Harper, my husband, handled the legal transfer." Richard appeared then, suit expensive, briefcase worth more than my truck. "Mr. Brooks," he said, handshake firm and lingering. "There's been a misunderstanding. We're prepared to help you recover your investment from what appears to be a fraudulent sale." I pulled out my phone, opened the survey app. "Mind if I verify boundaries while we talk?" Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "That's unnecessary." I was already walking to the ancient oak mentioned in the deed. GPS overlay, measuring tape, stone marker from 1924. The line ran straight through the community center. "Your office," I said, "sits on my land." Color drained from Evelyn's face. Richard snatched the deed. "This is forged." "It's filed with the county," I said. "Taxes updated in my name." Evelyn's phone came out. "I'm calling the sheriff." "Go ahead," I said. "I'd love an official witness when you explain operating tax exempt on property you don't own." They retreated. "Richard, you'll hear from our attorney." Evelyn's parting shot. "This isn't over." It was just beginning. 24 hours later, my dining room became mission control. Documents everywhere, laptop humming with property databases. I hired Laura Bennett, land use attorney, and Marcus Reed, licensed surveyor. Their report confirmed. My deed encompassed the house plus 2.8 acres, including the entire HOA complex. The breakthrough came from county archives. Chain of title cleaned back to 1924 when Harold Whitaker built the house. Remained in Whitaker family until 1983 when sold to Margaret Lawson, retired teacher. Margaret owned until 2023, paying taxes on full acreage. Her estate sold to me, same boundaries. HOA Incorporation 1985 claimed founding donation, but provided zero transfer documents. I found Margaret's grandniece, Emily Lawson, through social media. Aunt Margaret never donated anything, Emily said over coffee. They started using her land in the 90s, events, parking, everything. She was too polite to fight. When her health failed, they acted like they owned it. Photos showed Margaret gardening in what was now the community plot, her car in the HOA lot, private property signs later removed. Tax records sealed it. Margaret paid on full acreage through 2023. HOA claimed tax-exempt status, but never paid taxes on the land because they didn't own it. I approached residents. Tom Riley, 70-something retiree. Evelyn said previous owners wanted empty land used for community. We thought it was generous. Showed him surveys. His face fell. "We've been trespassing." Pattern emerged. Evelyn convinced everyone transfers were legitimate. No one saw documents. They trusted results, improved values, facilities. The moral complexity hit hard. They'd built something real on stolen foundation. Evelyn called. Meet tomorrow, 10 a.m., Community Center office. Discuss your departure or face legal action. I agreed. Her office, on my land. 10 a.m. Her office overlooked the lake, bookshelves of bylaws, mahogany desk. Richard flanked her, settlement folder ready. $50,000 check, release waiver. Compensation for fraud, Richard said. We'll help find comparable property. I spread my documents atop their offer. Your office sits on my land per county records. Evelyn paled. Richard scanned frantically. Contemporary records. Show transfer from Harold Whitaker or Margaret Lawson. Silence. Evelyn. Previous owners understood. Understanding isn't title. Richard. Adverse possession. You didn't pay taxes. I measured with tape, app. Your desk, my property. Evelyn's phone buzzed. Text. Resident asking if true they don't own center. Richard closed laptop. We need outside counsel. I left. 48 hours. Next meeting at my house, where we are now. That night, vandalism. Tires slashed, leave or else keyed into hood. Sheriff documented. Pattern of harassment. Emily brought boxes from Margaret's estate. Harold Whitaker's surveys. Not 3.2 acres, 12. HOA complex, tennis courts, dock, entrance road. All on Whitaker land. Harold mapped entire lake region 1920s, granted 12 acres as payment. 1958 letter. Harold protesting unauthorized use. 1990s correspondence. Harper firm pressuring family. Fake sale orchestrated by Richard. Real heir died 2018. FBI entered. Agent Paul Martinez, old contact. Pattern across 23 properties. Live broadcast during demolition attempt. Wrecking ball poised. Helen Grant, WCVB. HOA destroying evidence of crime. FBI arrived. Richard, Evelyn cuffed. 18 counts wire fraud, 15 mail fraud. Investigation. $25 million damages, 23 families. Richard, 8 years. Evelyn, 3 years, $1.8 million restitution. HOA dissolved. 12 acres restored. Compensation fund. I kept house, bought legitimately. Community rebuilt transparent. Evelyn counsels elders post-release. Richard disbarred. Truth transformed us. But let's back up to the night before demolition. The rain had been relentless for 48 hours, turning the basin into a churning lake. My sensors screamed, saturation at 92%, slope shift accelerating. I hadn't slept. The drone hovered above the clubhouse, thermal imaging showing cold water pooling beneath the foundation like blood under skin. At 2:17 a.m., motion alerts exploded. For figures in black rain gear slipped past the community center's rear door. I zoomed the drone. Evelyn, Richard, and 2 men I recognized from HOA landscaping crews. They carried duffel bags and what looked like demolition charges. My heart hammered. They were planting explosives to bring the building down themselves, destroy evidence, claim structural failure from the storm. I called Paul Martinez. They're rigging the clubhouse to blow. Now. FBI mobilized within minutes. I watched live as SWAT vans screeched into the parking lot, red and blue lights cutting through rain. Agents poured out, weapons drawn. FBI. Hands up. Evelyn froze, bag dropping. Charges clattered across wet concrete. Richard bolted, slipped, face planted in mud. Cuffs clicked. The 2 crewmen surrendered immediately, sobbing about just following orders. Helen Grant arrived with her crew, broadcasting live as agents secured the scene. We are witnessing federal agents preventing what appears to be an attempt to destroy evidence in a major property fraud investigation. The demolition crew scheduled for dawn never showed. FBI evidence techs spent hours photographing charges, collecting fingerprints. Evelyn's face on camera, mascara running, defiance crumbling, was the image that went viral. Richard's recorded confession sealed it. We had to make it look like the storm. Bury the records. He broke within hours. The gala never happened. The clubhouse stood condemned, then demolished under controlled conditions. 23 families reclaimed land. Compensation totaled $25 million. I kept the house, bought the additional acres legitimately, built a small museum in the boathouse, Harold Whitaker's tools, Margaret Lawson's photos, the story of truth over theft. Evelyn served 3 years, emerged counseling elders on property rights. Richard got 8. Disbarred. Bankrupt. The lake shines clearer now. Boundaries respected. Community real. What about you? Ever faced corruption wearing a smile? Ever stood alone against a system built on lies? Share below. Where do you draw the line when power steals from the vulnerable? When justice demands decades? Your voice matters. I read every one.